the attitude vis-à-vis that of any mainland versus the islands. And you can see, for example, that this country, Great Britain, lives under the maxim, the slogan, if you like it, Britannia, rule the waves. Equally, we call Chios Navkratousa. Chios rules the waves. As to whoever the Chians gave their backing and power, those receiving same became more than powerful, as I have already mentioned above. Education, education, education. Mentoring, mentoring, mentoring. Family values, family values, family values. Ethical and respectful behavior. Respect, respect, respect. You might be surprised of hearing me saying this, but I have to emphasize this so you get it straight to your mind and gets there in that chip and remains there. These are the important issues we must never forget. These, as mentioned before, are the ingredients for the continued success of Chian shipping dynasties as well as that of others, of Hellenic maritime world. A dynasty, by the way, doesn't mean in any way that you have to be big to be beautiful. The education of the Hellenes is still the best in the field, but do take on account what was happening between the 12th and 18th centuries, and you will understand why at that time they were also the best. Even under the Venetian, Genovese and Ottoman rule, particularly under the Ottomans and the Ottoman yoke, the Hellenes were the most educated and the most patriotic of all and developed themselves as leaders, establishing the most important trade and then transport companies the world has ever seen. Of course, they learned from their oppressors too. All the oppressors, funnily enough, had entrusted to the Hellenes to run their businesses, particularly their maritime affairs. After all, they successfully did 12 centuries before. Remind you the passage, which is very important. Many wonders there are there, and yet none is more wonderful than none. He journeys over grey oceans with stormy Notos, crossing through waves and surge through him. And surge about him. Earth, the immortal, the greatest of the gods, the tireless one. He wears away, turning the soil with his horses, and he plows past up and down year after year. Sophocles' Antigone. The supremacy of the Greeks from antiquity, as we have said at the beginning of my speech, was epitomized by the northeast expansion of the Mycenaean world, Mykenaikos politismos and nation, and the nautical legends of the Homeric age of 1400 BC to 635 BC. Gods, demigods, heroes, and seafarers. Note the last word, seafarers. From the book, this comes from the book, another masterpiece by Mariana Koromila, The Greeks in the Black Sea from the Bronze Age to the early 20th century. It all stems from the sea, ladies and gentlemen. I will end with a passage which I strongly believe it leaves no doubt about the supremacy, development of Greek shipping dynasties and their success until this very moment, as we speak and as you hear this. For the Greeks, however, the hinterland of Western Asia was still a forbidding, impenetrable territory. Their own contribution to civilization was the sea. They excelled in seafaring skills, in shipbuilding, in the ability to steer a ship with all weathers. In this, they were unparalleled. They will read the stars and other natural signs. They seemed able to converse with the waves. They had personified the elements force of the sea. They were intrepid, quick to learn, insatiably curious. For them, the sea meant brilliant light, clear waters, sheltering bays, safe harbors, innumerable islands, and short distances. There was nothing frightening about the Aegean. It was a stimulus to travel, trade, and enterprise. And since the land of the Greeks was largely arid and barren, and its inaccessible mountains fit only as dwelling places of the gods, they turned to the sea. That was where the particular genius flourished. That was where they gave free rein to their love of adventure. There were young sailors came of age, where the virtues of an entire nation were put to the rest. All in all, as you will might recall all this from the Argonauts expedition, the Aristi, the best, were included in the trip from Iolkos in the search of the Golden Fleece with the Argo. It was education and also the ancestors' legend. Without any bota, the men, nor with the moretta, the women, bota is the mask in the Venetian world for the men were wearing, and moretta that of the women. Alike the arrival Venetians and their respective masks, the Greeks, and in particular the Hiots, to whom I mainly refer herein, marvel in all aspects of the shipping industry, obtaining, after considerable thought and generations of analysis, the best needed for proper tackling their seafaring profession, the most difficult one being remaining that of a successful ship owning. Shipwrecks and archaeological findings from antiquity to today in the Mediterranean have brought into light unique instruments that no other shipping nation has ever developed and deployed. The findings of the Kythera Astrolabus, το ναυάγιο των Kythyrων, speaks of itself, not to mention the specialist hulls at all times, showing the supremacy and the knowledge of the Greeks. I'm talking about the hulls of commercial ships. Needless to mention about the triremes, where they've been covered with the Neosiki, the silos of today. Moreover, you can see in today's world, with the anathema of the standard design ships, excuse my French, but this is a reality, how the well-experienced Greek shipping executive, mostly member of a ship-owning family, who has inherited a vast knowledge of a seafarer ship, and not that of a naval architect, with all due respect to those present in being naval architects. Naval architects design the ships, but they don't sail with them. That's an important issue. I come also from a seafaring family, and I dead well know what I'm talking about. The best result comes from those people who have been at sea. That is very important and obviously crucial for ensuring a good character and also to maintain the ship's value. From which stable you bought your ship or which shipyard was involved, there are questions often, better say always posed, and that sort of seafaring navigators the sellers had on board his vessel. Why is this? Because you can see the vessel's performance, how it differs from an owner to an owner. Greeks in today's demanding and ultra-competitive maritime world use all possible means for furthering the industry and maintaining the shipping dynasty on top. Otherwise, the bird is flown. You can see the composition of Greece's family shipping offices, which comprises of specialist maritime accountants that have studied and worked in major accounting and auditing firms, naval architects and marine engineers. They have studied and worked with classification societies and or in shipyards and even on mobile squads. Finance, and in particular ship finance executives, members of the ship-owning family dynasty who have been respectively educated and worked in ship finance entities before joining the family firm. The chain list goes on, and you get the message. To conclude, I will say the English maxim: if you don't do it excellent, don't do it at all. That, and what the Chians always feared in the supposed coming failure, and said, how do I face my compatriots if I rock the boat? Άμα την κάτσω τη βάρκα, με τι μόρι θα πάω στο χιό, on a free translation. So, all in all, one has to use the competitive edge of knowledge and obtain the best practices from his competitors in order to be successful and maintain the dynasty on top. Ethics and respect. Never ever forget this maxim. You can't buy three things: experience, health, and wisdom. It runs in the family. We'll be pleased to receive your questions on john.faraklas@allaboutshipping.co.uk or to any other of the organizers here, and we will be pleased to reply in writing all your questions. Enjoy the rest of this challenging event. Thank you very much, and God bless you all.